Hey guys, guess where I am? Time for OC. Oh, by the way, if Teresa's out there, it was nice running into you at the Swan Hotel in Disney. There was so much OC gossip to talk about. I had to really pick and choose. But one of the things I wanted to do was tell you the highlights from Tamra Judge's File interview, because there was a lot of tea in that, but you had to really listen to it, okay? And so I'm just going to give you the highlights and play you 2 clips. And I think you're going to really find these interesting, plus with my commentary, obviously. But before we get into that, let's talk about this that came out on another podcast with Teddi Mellencamp, and this might be a bit controversial. So Teddi went on a podcast, as you guys know, talking about her 50-50 prognosis and being very upset. She also talked about how she felt like it was karma that she had cheated with the horse trainer guy, and that she had ruined so many families in that instance. And of course, that is not why she got cancer. Karma is, in my opinion, not real, because frankly, every douchebag jerk-off that I've ever met never gets punished, but that's just me. And all the people that seem to get punished are usually very kind, nice, and lovely. I could make a few examples of that. So yeah, I don't believe in karma. Okay. Go get your skin checked every year and as soon as possible, and you won't have skin cancer. And if you do, make them give a body scan like Teddi said, so you can know if it metastasized as soon as possible. Bottom line, okay? Cause and effect. That's what I believe in. Now, let me tell you something. Teddi went on a show and she talked about how Edwin initially cheated on her. Now, I think he cheated on her more than this, in my opinion, because when you look at his weird security company and their parties and the girls that are going to these parties with big old knockers out to here and like real slutty looking, sorry, they are, and he's hanging around that, and him and Teddi obviously aren't having the greatest relationship at home, you have to think there's, this guy's doing her dirty, okay? Now, do I agree with what she did on the cheating? Absolutely not. She destroyed another woman's entire family, and, she's going to have to deal with that, because she's actually as bad as the girl in the clip I'm about to play you that Teddi complains about. And we're going to start off OC with this, because she's sort of OC, what do we call it, adjacent.
I think it wasn't necessarily the act.
And was it with your best friend or a good friend?
It was with somebody I knew. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was with somebody I knew. And I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't make huge mistakes in my marriage post that. But that broke me. That was the first time in my life where I was like, how will I show up every day with a smile on my face and raise these kids and be this perfect wife and start a television show and become somebody that people like or they think are funny? Or if people say, why do you seem different than when you were on your first season of Housewives? Like when we listened to your podcast. And I never really open up about it, but that's why. And ultimately, it came down to like a financial thing was why the person was coming forward. And that was like even more heart-wrenching, because I was like, you'd be willing to do this to my family for money and not even a lot of it? Disgusting.
Did you find out because that person came forward?
That person called me. That person called me and told me. And it was a couple days before filming.
See what I'm talking about? And Teddi didn't get paid. She just did it for free. Now, meanwhile, Tamra Judge went on Vile podcast and she said this.
So to speak, where it's just like, if you want that type of privacy, don't
go on the show. Don't go on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, if my husband is pulled over and arrested for not having a driver's license because he's not paying child support and it's public, I expect somebody on the show to bring it up.
Right. That dig was Gretchen.
Or if my husband is on ESPN because there's an FBI investigation.
That dig was Jennifer.
I expect somebody to bring it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's kind
if
of...
If I get a DUI, somebody's going to bring it up.
That dig was Shannon. And all of those things were dropped by Tamra on the show. And obviously she approves of her behavior. How shocking.
And is there any lines that are drawn, boundaries you don't cross? That's kind of...
I think kids are just off limits. You just don't...
Yeah.
Never...
Tamra Judge origin highlights. She got pregnant 3 months before high school was over, and she kind of was intimidated into keeping the baby because her boyfriend from high school told her mom, and she wasn't sure yet what she was going to do. But when she got back, the mom's like, I don't want to be a grandmother, I'm too young. But then Tamra was sort of like, okay, I better keep the baby. And then she ends up marrying this high school kid, and it doesn't last long. They break up. Then she's single, dating boys, like a normal single mother would, I suppose. So then Tamra gets a job working for a trash company as a receptionist, and the way she gets the job, or soon after getting the job, she sleeps with the owner of the company. So she's finding ways to subsidize her trash income. It's kind of trashy, come to think of it. She clarified, though, that she did sleep with the owner after she got the job. So she at least got the reception position on her very own merits. And there was a family-owned business. So there was like 4 brothers or something that owned it. She got one of them. Then after she got married to Simon, she ended up becoming a realtor. The way Tamra said she met Simon was she was going to a bar and she stole his parking spot, and that, I guess, sparked a conversation, probably him pissed. And then he was like, wait, she's hot. I changed my position on that. Come on in, let me buy you a drink. So soon after, she hears about a casting for Real Housewives of Orange County, and she decides to go for it. And she's super sarcastic in her application, and she lies to the producers about what her capabilities are professionally and all this stuff, and they like that she's a smartass. Big shocker. So she said that after her and Simon broke up, which happens around the 3rd season she's on the show, that she doesn't have any money. So she leaves, she borrows $1,000 from her mom, she rents out a 3-bedroom apartment in the OC, she pays for it with clothes that she liquidates online on eBay, and then we know from the show she meets Eddie pretty quickly after, right? Just saying, at least that's the way the edit went down. She also said that he lied about her to the press and to the kids, and so she ends up getting sort of estranged from one daughter, but the other kids she stays pretty close with through their whole lives. And she's like, that's the misconception, is that, first of all, that I don't talk at all to my other daughter. I do a little bit. We're not that close, but then the rest of the kids, we are really close, and they lived with me during their whole childhood. So then she drags all anonymous bloggers and says, how dare they drop gossip that's faceless and it's getting on the shows, and that's awful and bad, and I want it to stop. But I've got news for the world, and that is Bravo specifically said their new initiative was to incorporate bloggers onto all of their shows in whatever capacity they want, because they know the fans want it, sometimes more than the housewives. So guys, it's not some imaginary thing that's happening that, oh shit, the bloggers are infiltrating Bravo. It's that the production companies have been given an initiative to incorporate them into the shows. And how do I know that? Because they tried to do it with me. But I said no, because their agreement was criminal, how ridiculous it was, okay, that they wanted me to sign again. I'm like, what is that saying? Once, silly, twice you're an idiot. Okay, well, I wasn't an idiot. You know what I mean.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's just how it is, I guess.
Oh, thanks, John.
Yeah.
At least he knows. Oh my gosh, and she wants everybody to know Eddie is not gay. She was like, he is not gay, and she's pissed. And he's like, I don't mind. She also said that Eddie has gotten cut a lot out of the season already. That's why he's not around. They literally shot him a ton and they didn't use him at all. So then Tamra says that Joe De La Rosa was very upset because Gretchen used to double date with Joe De La Rosa and Slade, and then ends up going with Slade after Joe and him end. So she's like, why was she eyeing my man secretly, obviously, the whole time, and then took him at the end, so Joe sees through Gretchen. And then Tamra calls out, of course, the old stuff that we know, which is she was gold digging this old man and seeing him, and simultaneously dating a young guy and cheating with him too, and playing him also. So Gretchen is a liar and a player, and Tamra's let's not forget who Gretchen is. Sorry, it's the fireworks. Now, this story seems like something you would have heard Tamra say before, but listen carefully to the details and pay attention to the end.
What a lot of people don't know is off season between her DUI, that season, I was shooting Traders. So the day that I was going to the airport, I get the phone call from her that she had been arrested about the DUI and all that stuff. And it had happened 2 days prior. And I was on the phone with her the day before and she never said a word about it. We were on a business call and she was very down. And I called her back. I said, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I don't think she thought it was going to come out. And then I'm on the podcast and I get a text message from Heather Dubrow and she's like, sends me the article that Shannon was arrested. I'm like, "Oh shit." And then Shannon texted me and said, "Can you call me?" And I said, "I'm on the pod. I'll call you afterwards." So I called her and I just said, I'm so sorry. We were crying on the phone. I said, "This has got to be devastating." I said, "But the good thing is, Shannon, is as your friend, you have a problem. And this is a wake-up call. Nobody was hurt." At this time, I didn't know that she was injured. Like she had broken her arm and sliced her face open and hurt her leg. I had no idea. I thought she just hit a house and took off. And so I had that conversation with her and she took it well, I thought. And then I flew to Scotland and then I didn't have a phone for however long I was gone. And when I got back, I had heard from a mutual friend, "Shannon's living with you. How dare Tamra say that I'm an alcoholic? I'm not the alcoholic. Gina's an alcoholic. Taylor Armstrong's an alcoholic." And she named off all these people and started doing the blame game. And I'm like, that's weird because she was really sweet about it. Then, I didn't say anything to her. And we went to BravoCon and she was on the red carpet saying how, I've been there for her and all these things. And then I get a phone call from another person and he's like, "Shannon's saying horrible." I'm like, "What? Why?" Just like, who the hell does Tamra think she is? She thinks she's like the star of the show and I'm so sick of her shit. And I'm like, all I've been is there for her. So then I'm like, you know what? Game on. I'm done with this. She was exhausting to be friends with. It was that friend, she would call you and call you and call you. And I'd be like, "I'm on the podcast or I'm at dinner. You need to call me immediately." And I'd be like, I would walk out of dinners. Like my kids, my husband would be like, "Mom, please don't take her call. Please."
And what would she say on the phone? Would it be like,
"Oh," and it was always something.
She's just kind of venting.
She's just exhausting. I mean, it'd be calls where she was drinking and it'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't find my phone. I think the Uber driver is kidnapping me." I'm like, "You're on your phone." Just stuff like that. Oh my God, David's wife signed my support check." I said, "I don't give a shit if Michael Jackson signed your support check. You're getting one." I never got that, just stupid things, really stupid things. So I'm like, oh my God. Or it was about John, or it's just always, her life was always in shambles.
Did you hear her say that Taylor Armstrong's an alcoholic? That's been going around to Orange County for a while, but she just confirmed it to the whole world. Wonder how Taylor feels about that. Oh, and it must feel great to know that her good friend Shannon from the show that she was hanging out with, helping pack up her house, was dragging her to Tamra over it. Maybe there is a little bit of karma. Well, Tamra made sure to say that she really likes John Jansen, that he raised all of his kids himself, and that she sees him as a really nice guy. And so she doesn't understand Shannon's issues with him beyond, what's kind of come out because of the demise of their relationship. Oh, some other tea was interesting was that Alex gave Tamra a heads up that Gretchen was joining the show and she said, "Whatever's good for the show." And that at the time that Jennifer joined the cast, Tamra and her weren't really friends anymore and they didn't really hang out. So they made it seem like a lot bigger of a friendship than it really was. And it was way back. And I do want to say one thing from my experience. They would have casted Jennifer Pedranti originally because she must have said something about Tamra to them, because that's how they operate. And that's probably why Tamra got her job back. She admitted that she wanted Vicky fired back in the day and tried with production, but of course they ignored her. And she also said she never really knew why she was being fired. Andy said, "Don't worry, you'll be back," like he had no part in it. And Alex said the network wanted to go in a different direction, but he didn't want her to go either. And the network, of course, no one ever speaks to, so you just don't know what they're doing over there on their end. And who the hell is the network, in air quotes. So there you go. Tamra also said there might be a scene that exists that we may or may not see where she sits down with Katie Ginella and says, "Listen, Katie, a lot of your stories aren't adding up and we don't know anything really about you. So we'd really like to, and could you like maybe get your stories out there more in a better way? Tamra doesn't trust Katie because she thinks she's making things up. Tamra's daughter is going to maybe try out for Next Gen NYC. That also came out. Now, I'm not going to lie. This next thing really annoyed me, and I'll tell you why after you listen to it.
It's crap online about being a mom and how, her relationship with her kids. Like, how do you handle that and how does that make you feel?
Well, obviously it makes me upset because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They know nothing about our life at all. And I mean, we were just talking about this. I think one of my biggest pet peeves is people are just stupid. Like, they don't know us. It's all parasocial. It's very parasocial. Like, people think that they know her and they don't at all.
Yeah.
So did you hear that? How'd that make you feel? The show's been on for 19 seasons. She joins in season 3. She skips, 2 seasons? So all in all, she misses 5 years of the 19. That's 8 to 7, 6, 14 years you've been watching Tamra Judge on The Real Housewives of Orange County and listening to her podcast with Teddi Mellencamp for at least 2 years. You've been watching her on Traitors doing another show with a different edit. And all this time, you think you're watching a reality show and you're really getting to know who Tamra is, kind of what her life is like real authentic stuff here. And apparently you guys have wasted all that time watching Tamra Judge because you don't know one little thing about her. You don't know her real life at all. How's that? Because I'll tell you what, when I was on the show, I showed you my damn real life, and I showed you the demise of it. All right, with that, let's get into the recap and any other gossip I'll cover next week. All right, you guys, so let's do tonight's recap, season 19, episode 5. I'm going to kind of focus on really a main thing. So the theme of tonight's episode really is that Jennifer Pedranti's Ryan is kind of feeling like he's taken over the finances of all the kids, including her ex's Will, because Will has not paid child support or any of the lump sum he was supposed to actually settle out the liability to do with the yoga studio more than anything, rather than giving it to Jen. However, it never happened. And so we kind of learned that Ryan's a little tired of that. Plus, he's extremely horny all the time, which is odd. And she feels really insecure because she's getting married in a bikini. And Tamra just brought out a picture where she was not even fat, like barely overweight, and kind of showed it to the girls and was like, look, she wasn't always like this, and she's kind of morphed herself into me. And so that's that. Now, meanwhile, Tamra's dealing with Teddi getting really sick, and we find out that Teddi fell down the stairs at the Super Bowl after they were kind of having fun together in New Orleans. So Teddi was finally feeling like she could celebrate a little, and then she just couldn't. She was too sick. And it was really becoming apparent that was she getting better to Tamra? And Tamra was like, oh my gosh, this is really happening for her best friend. So then that happened. And then Shannon Beador is just being Shannon. She's just kind of wandering around. Now, the thing I really wanted to focus on, because nothing really happens all that much with the New Orleans so far, except the women kind of come for Tamra and she can't handle it because everything going on with Teddi, so she quits the show. But it's not that explosive. I think she literally just was like, I can't do this anymore. This is too stupid. I think that's what happened. Because it does happen when you don't have a friend going through a cancer crisis. So imagine if you do. You're like, I can't talk about, a picture of some lady who's not even fat, right? My friend's really sick with cancer. That's a real problem. This is silly. So it does happen. So what did I really want to focus on for this recap? And I guess it has to do with Megan Mullen, because Gina Kirschenheiter makes almost the whole show about how Megan Mullen is torturing her in some way because she's with Travis and Travis has decided to move back in with Gina Kirschenheiter, to the point where she says that Megan called her son and her ex-husband in some way that she felt was completely violated. We also start to understand that Gina Kirschenheiter doesn't drink anymore, which obviously she did because of some of the allegations that were made by Megan Mullen against her, that she drank too much and that her and Travis would get in fights in front of the kids, etc. And the kids didn't want to go to Gina's house with Travis anymore. So it created custody issues. And so she was like, I guess I got to get sober if I'm going to like try to fix this somehow. Now, the thing is that Megan Mullen, is from a very wealthy family, and she's well liked in Orange County, not on the show, but off it. And so it was kind of unusual to see Gina struggling so hard with this woman. Now, here's some tea that I was sent a little bit ago, and I'll share it with you because we were talking about it in the Dishing Drama Dana chat. And this is really what I wanted to focus the ending of the video, because not a whole lot happened in this episode that's like so groundbreaking. So let me read this to you. This seems to be a very impassioned fan who has some sort of insider information. Listen to this. So Gina's been living with a married man for years and years. Travis ain't shit. This whole time, he's been getting $8,000 a month from a trust and $10,000 a month from his job. And he won't sign divorce papers as he's been getting spousal and child support, and everyone wonders why the ex is mad. On top of it, all that money plus Gina's money, and they had them kids living on top of each other for years. Gina right along with his milking the ex-wife and making her take drug tests because she had pills in the car. Meanwhile, Gina had a drinking problem where she got a DUI and a domestic call from throwing Travis down the stairs. This is why I get mad. The real stories are never on TV, and Gina and Travis gets to control the narrative. That's BS. Like, this sounds like maybe it's Megan, I don't know. Then this person said the Bravo docket covered Travis's divorce last fall. Megan, his ex, is a problem. The divorce is finalized, but they continue to bicker over custody of their children. Megan is the child of a very wealthy parents who completely support her and the children, including nannies in private schools and expensive first-class vacations. Megan has unlimited resources to pay for expensive attorneys and unrestricted free time to harass and stalk Gina and Travis as she does. He is fighting back and struggling to remain in his children's lives, but it's very hard and very expensive. So this came out of Us Weekly. He listed his job as a senior financial analyst. This is like a summary of it. At a genetic testing company, a role he's held since 2022. Unlike a lot of folks we see on Bravo, Travis works a regular 9-to-5 job. He listed his gross monthly income of around $10,000, which means he's clearing 6 figures each year. Good for him. Although Travis recently started doing real estate alongside Gina, the court documents revealed he hasn't earned any money from that yet. However, he does make $8,333 per month from trust income. One of the more interesting points in his financial disclosure was his living situation. On Real Housewives of Orange County, Gina said she asked him to move out of her house. They have since moved back in together, but in the divorce docs, he says that Gina lives with him and contributes $0 to the household expenses. Earlier this year, Travis filed an emergency motion hoping to get sole legal and physical custody of the 3 kids he shares with Megan. He accused her of skipping drug tests and allowing one of their kids to miss a lot of school. The hearing is later this month, but ongoing drama is burning a hole in his pocket. And then they talk about the legal fees being $28,255, which Travis has, paid most of except for $8,000. So I guess what I wanted to say about this is Travis is taking in $18,000 a month across his job and his trust accounts. And Gina Kirschenheiter has to be making $500,000 a year at least doing Real Housewives of Orange County. So I don't understand where the financial struggle we've been watching on this show for the last 2 years is happening. Where is this financial struggle? And then the other thing I'm getting out of this is that Megan Mullen's rich too. So what is going on here? And why can't these people make this work? What's odd to me is that I know what's pissing Megan Mullen off, right? What's pissing Megan Mullen off is that Gina Kirschenheiter has this huge platform. So she's controlling the narrative completely of what is going on between the two people. And of course, whatever goes in the court documents is, going to be exposed all on, tabloids and everything. And so it's probably, some resentment on her part of the way she's being depicted without any control because she's not famous like Gina is, you know, from being on reality TV. So it's got to be tough on her. I'm just saying. And my friends that know her say she's great. So I'm really confused by all of this. I'm so lost. Like, I mean, you know, obviously there's problems big time, but like, I don't know people who say anything bad about her that know her in Orange County. I asked. Anyway, you know that Tamra doesn't quit for very long. It's like a day or two. And then she talks to Teddi Mellencamp and Teddy's like, listen, you need to like seize the day, right? And get back on the show. You love it. Get on there. And so she does. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to say about the recap tonight. There wasn't really anything else that juicy, you know, to go over. It's a lot of short interactions with family members with like little issues that I guess are going to become more important later. The only one I didn't mention was that Katie Ginella is like, has her, you know, older son there and their interaction with her kids and like, you know, her feeling, I guess, a connection with what Jennifer Pedranti's going through because of her first husband and what went down with him. And that's pretty much it, that she could relate with Jennifer on that front. And Shannon is single and kind of struggling a little bit. Not like she's unhappy. She just can't find a guy that like really wants to date her and she can't like get into anybody. And Heather Dubrow doesn't really have any issues or stories going on except her house right now. So, Now there were rumors Heather's leaving, but those rumors are false. Okay, you guys, going home tomorrow, so we'll talk soon.